everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I am making some tiny paintings on some tiny canvases. Now I'm using these little canvases here, which are 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters, which is 4 inches by 4 inches, I believe it says on the back here. And I'm going to be using my gouache paints today for this. So we're doing some tiny gouache paintings. So here is a closer look at these little canvases which I actually got them from my local dollar store for about $3.50, and I have used these before in the past. I actually used them quite a while ago for some tiny acrylic paintings. Now I definitely wanted to give this a go again and bring the tiny canvases a comeback, but this time with a little twist. I am using my gouache paint for this. So I was trying to think about what I wanted to paint, and I didn't want to do anything too crazy. I kind of just wanted to have a lot of fun and paint some really cute little illustrations on these. So I actually decided to paint some little houses. Now for the first one, I'm actually doing just a normal sort of little house. I wanted to try and experiment with the colors and with different sort of textures in the paint. So yeah, I actually decided to paint this little house here. Now first off, I actually did sketches on this, which in the past I haven't done a sketch with painting on these little tiny canvases, because a sketch is pretty, you know, you can't really get a lot of detail on a tiny little thing. But since these houses aren't really that overly detailed, I thought a sketch would help out quite a lot. So I'm actually using just a little grey Prismacolor pencil to do the sketch, and I'm just doing it a little bit roughly just so I can get the base shapes down. Now I decided a nighttime scene for this first one, mainly because I was running out of white at the time, so I decided to do, you know, minimal white on this, because then I could actually get this painting done. So yeah, I actually decided to do a little night scene with some bushes in the foreground with some little flowers, and then a sort of beigey coloured house with a sort of dark brown fence. Now with my gouache paint, I like to do a thin layer first of just sort of like a washy kind of layer, just to get the base colours down. Now I do this in a similar way where I do my watercolour paintings. Just add a lot of water and a bit less paint, and then it's much smoother and easier to sort of spread around on the paper. This also helps when I want to add layers over the top, because a thinner layer will be less likely to reactivate, and I will be able to layer more colours over the top easier. Now with this one, after I got some of the details down, I decided I wanted to add a little bit more detail in the foreground. So I actually decided to do a little brown fence, you know, just a sort of simple fence in the foreground, and that actually added some detail which I was quite happy with. Now after this, all I needed to do was add some little fine details here and there, some more highlights on the fence, some more sort of flowers in the sort of bushes, also some very, very tiny little bricks on the house. Now with this, I basically just used the same colour of the house, except I added a little bit more brown just to make it a bit darker, and yeah, I just added some little tiny brush strokes all over this house, and it turned out pretty nice. So here's the final result of this first one, and I'm quite happy with how it turned out. I like the colours and the sort of highlights from the house, and how the sort of highlights catch on the bushes as well. Now for this second one, I actually wanted to add a little bit of a sort of fancier house to this collection, because the first one was a little bit of like a normal sort of house, like something you would see. So I really wanted to try and add a little bit of a fancier, you know, more expensive, probably newer type of modern house. So with this house, I actually decided just to, you know, mix some shapes together and try and get it to look like a house. As per usual, I did some very thin washes first, as you can see, mainly with some blue for the sky and some greens and that kind of thing. Now I did sort of cheat with this one a tiny bit, and I added a little bit of white acrylic to the paint just to try and get a lighter tone, because I was getting a bit desperate. I really wanted to paint more of these, but I was out of white gouache. Now I'm not exactly 100% happy I did that, because it kind of gave the paint a bit of a different texture, and it took a bit longer to dry as well. But overall, I think it turned out okay, and the colors dried as normal, and it looks pretty normal as well. It's just a tiny little bit of white that I added to it, so you know, I don't think that's cheating. I think it's just, you know, using what I had at the time. It's still mostly gouache anyways. But yeah, with this I wanted to have a tree covering up the house in a sort of way where it's sort of adding shade to the house. I really wanted to try this because, I don't know, I just really have a lot of fun drawing trees, and I wanted to do a sort of tree where there was bits of purple in it, from like lots of little tiny purple flowers. And when I first did that, I actually sort of mucked it up. I was quite a bit impatient, and I didn't want to let the paint dry, so when I added the purple to the green, it sort of just turned into a gross muddy mess. But then I wiped that off and let it dry and redid it, and this time I was patient enough to wait for the paint to dry and then add the purple. And yeah, I'm actually quite happy with how this turned out. I think it looks very, very cute. So with this next painting here, I actually wanted to try something a little bit different. It's still technically a home, it's still a tiny home on these tiny canvases. However, I wanted to do a little bit of an apartment block. So here on the right hand side of the painting, as you can see, there is a nice little apartment block, and then across the road from that is a little park. Now I mainly did this because I wanted a lot of sky in this artwork, and I wanted it to be a sort of dark, cold sort of environment. I actually plan to do a sort of rainy night on this one, just to try and contrast the last two ones, because one's very bright and happy, one is sort of, it's darker, but it's also like a clear kind of weather, and this one I just wanted to have lots and lots of rain, and have the windows really bright, like they're like all the lights are on inside, and sort of make it look almost cozy in the way that the windows are all, you know, shining a bright light. And I wanted to have some street lights as well on this painting to try and, you know, just have a little bit of an ambient feel to it, I guess. So basically the same way I did it was that I added lots of washes of wet paint, and for the sky I actually added a lot of blues, a bit of black, and also a bit of a lighter blue as well, and just a sort of smudgy, sort of dabby kind of texture. And this is mainly because I'm trying to build up the look of a rainy sky. So of course the sky is not going to be clear, it's going to be quite cloudy and dark. So yeah, that's why I decided to do it like that. Now for this building, I kind of wanted to add a lot of green to it as well, so I actually decided to add a bit of a garden on top of this apartment building. I'm guessing it's kind of one of those buildings where they have that little garden on the top. I think it's really cute. And there's also a few plants on the balconies of this apartment block as well. And yeah, I tried to keep a sort of color palette where it was just mainly blues, greens, greys and browns, and I'm quite happy with how this is turning out. And I think that the bright yellow of all the lights sort of glows almost on the dark colors, which I'm quite happy with. Now it's time to add all of the raindrops falling from the sky, and I was quite nervous at this because I felt like this could either make or break this artwork. It was a bit of a risky sort of thing to do. However, I'm actually quite happy with how it turned out. It's definitely quite intense. I had the rain sort of coming in at an angle as if the wind is blowing it, and I used a mix of blues and whites for that, and I'm quite happy with how it turned out, and I think it's pretty cute and sort of different to the others, so that's why I like it. For this next one, I wanted to paint something a little bit different again. I sort of try to have a little bit of a slight different theme to each of these paintings. So the first one was just a sort of normal sort of house. The next was a little bit more of a modern sort of slightly rich house. And then the next was an apartment block. So for this one, I actually wanted to paint a cute little cottage style house. So of course, with cottages, a lot of the time there will be some brightly coloured ones, and stuff like little stone paths and little chairs out the front, just really cute things like that, little flower gardens and window boxes and trees and stuff like that. So that's definitely the style that I wanted to go with. Now with this one, I did use a reference. It was just a random sort of cottage style house I found on Google, and I just used that for the base of the shape. I really wanted to get like a cute sort of archy roof, and I'm quite happy with how the shape is on this painting. So yeah, of course I started off with thin washes of gouache, which I really had a lot of fun doing. That front lawn, it has a sort of patchy green texture to it, and I'm really enjoying how that is turning out, and I really like how it dried with this sort of rough sort of texture, and you can see slightly the texture of the canvas underneath. I really like that. After that, I added some yellows for this house and browns of course, and then I used some blue for the sky. Now I used a bit of just a regular blue, and then I added a little bit of white to that blue just to add a little bit of a variation, as if it was a sort of cloudy day where there was a few clouds. After that, I used a different blue this time for parts of the house, the window flappy things. I don't know what they're called. Anyways, after that, I just went through and added lots of little details here and there, some stripes on that lawn chair, some little plants in the gardens, the window frames and the door frame and that kind of thing. And I also added a bit more texture to the lawn as well to make it look like it was a sort of luscious, well looked after lawn. After that, it was just small details here and there, like the windows on the door and the sort of fence palings and little dots all over the sort of, is it like a little brick path? It's not brick, it's like a pebblestone path kind of thing. After that, I added little textures to the roof for the tiles, and then just things like little flowers in the garden and in the trees, and adding more clouds to the sky. And that's mostly how I completed this painting. Now I'm quite happy with how this one turned out. I think it's very, very cute. It might be my favorite out of the four, but I'm not too sure. I like all of them very, very closely. So here is how this one turned out, and I'm quite happy with it. I think the colors look pretty nice. I like the sort of yellow and blue color scheme. I think it looks pretty cute. And yeah, here is how all four of them turned out. Now please let me know below which one is your favorite. I don't know, mine might be the little cottage one. I think it's just really cute and simple. But anyways, please let me know below what you think, and if you liked this video, and any ideas of future tiny canvas paintings. I definitely am not finished with this. I really do want to do more of them. But yeah. So here are the results. I have this one, and this one, and this one, and of course this one. So 4 tiny little paintings here, and I like them all so much, and I hope you guys like them too. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. You are the best. I hope to see you in my next video. Please hit like and subscribe, and yeah, bye everyone.